Do you feel like it is a budget for Scotland, for your constituents? Because one thing that we've been trying to sort of pick apart, obviously there's devolution implications with lots of these things, and we need to think that through. But even in terms of the overall tone, whether it's on energy, whether it's on things like Scotch whisky and alcohol duty from.
Yeah, you usually get a
Yeah.
specific mention of Scotch whisky, and I should declare an interest that I'm the chair of the all-party parliamentary group for Scotch whisky here in Parliament, because I worked for Diageo for 4 years before I was elected. But the fact that not only was their sort of commitment or their, to Scotch whisky just completely dismissed today, there was no actual specific mention of Scotch whisky, which was pretty disappointing. And then I suppose the other part for me, is given that I represent a more rural constituency, we've got a Labour party in Scotland, a Labour government in UK, who, basically a lot of their representation is sort of central belt. So, those changes that are being proposed from an inheritance tax perspective on farms, when we know that 50% of farms in the UK are family owned and potentially, come into the scope of the changes to those reliefs, that certainly doesn't feel like it was a budget for rural Scotland, that's for sure. And that's clearly been one of the challenges that the Scottish Government has been facing in recent months and years, that it hasn't felt like a government for all parts of Scotland. Myself and the other Fife MPs met with Fife Council recently to talk about, the levelling up funding that was given to the then Glenrothes constituency, the work that's going on there, shared prosperity funding. And the only mention of shared prosperity funding, which is due to end in March, the end of March 2025, was that there would be 900 million reduced funding before there was further funding reforms. The argument obviously from the budget today is this is about fixing the foundations for long-term growth, but there are some of those things where, all parts of government should be working together to deliver that, where actually they've not been given that certainty.